Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We'll get underway in just a moment. Wait for everyone just to grab their seats and everything, and then we'll get underway. Okie dokie, welcome to today's webinar on Payroll Premier and STP. My name is Corey Anderson. I'm a Customer Success Manager with Reckon. So today's webinar, we'll run through just how we work through Payroll Premier. Just to clarify, this is the Payroll Premier product, the standalone product, not Reckon Accounts Premier. This is Payroll Premier that we're doing here, looking at how that works with STP. So just before we do get underway, just a little bit of housekeeping first of all. So the audio, we do recommend the computer, but it's entirely up to you as well too. You can use the phone. If you want to use the phone, just switch to phone call and follow the prompts on how to get that working. There's also the sound check, so you can also, if you're having any dramas, want to check the sound and that sort of thing as well too. But everyone is muted today to make it a better experience for everyone as well too. So with everyone being muted, how do we do questions when they come up? So we're using a tool called Slido. So that can be accessed from slido.com, and the event code that we use is RPP. So there's nothing that you need to register for or join or anything like that. It's just a matter of going to slido.com. You'll see a little box to put in the event code, which is RPP. Click join, type your question in, and what we'll do is at the end of the presentation, we'll answer all these questions and they will come up on the screen for everyone to see, and we can go through them all together. That little go-to panel as well too, if that's in your way at all, just click on the little orange arrow, it'll disappear off the screen, and then if you need to get it back at all, just click on that and it will come back. Just a disclaimer to start with. So the contents of this webinar is of a general nature and is for guidance only. Reckon does not provide professional or taxation advice. So if you do have any queries that are specific to your circumstances, consult with your professional advisor to answer those sort of things there. So STP is now for all businesses. So from 1 July this year, any business with employees now has to report every pay event, so every pay period, to the ATO what the payments are for their employees. So their gross amounts, tax, any withholding, and super and that sort of thing as well. Sorry, I said tax and withholding, they're one and the same. So those things need to go through to the ATO each and every time a pay run is completed. There are a couple of different things for sort of closely held and that sort of thing. So if you think that might affect you, that's where we do recommend speaking with your advisor as well on that one. So how do we get ready for STP when you're using the Payroll Premier product? So we need to sign up to something called Reckon Gov Connect. We need to then register our Gov Connect software ID with the ATO. We need to make sure that we've upgraded our Payroll Premier 2019-2020 to 2019-2020, got released at the end of June. Configure STP in your company file, and then familiarize yourself with exporting from Payroll Premier and uploading into Gov Connect. We're going to go through and have a look at all this today. You just on that, you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the slido.com with the event code. Just if you something pops in your head, a question, just pop that in there and we'll answer them at the end. So what is Reckon Gov Connect? So Reckon Gov Connect is a cloud-based solution for communicating with the ATO. It's free to use for everyone, so you've just got to pay for of course, your Payroll Premier upgrade, but the Reckon Gov Connect, it's part of the Reckon portal, which is where we house a number of our other cloud-based products like our Cloud Pos, our Reckon One product, Better Clinics, Better Bookings, that sort of thing. So the portal is free to use. So just go to portal.reckon.com to sign up for that. It's its own product within the portal, opens independently. And anyone who's going to be doing GovConnect needs their own portal account as well too. And we can share things between all of that. And I'll show you those a bit later as we go through. So this is just a bit of a look of what Reckon GovConnect looks like for a Payroll Premier. We can see the software ID there. We can see the upload and Payroll Premier. And so as we go through the webinar, we'll see how this all fits together and works and on there as well too. So the Reckon portal, as we spoke about, so when I go to portal.reckon.com, I need to sign up for a portal account. So when you go to there, click, and you can also just go to the Reckon homepage, reckon.com. In the top right-hand corner, you've got login and GovConnect, and it takes you through to the same area. Click register for free, or if you want, you can use Google or Office 365 to sign into the portal as well too. If you want to use a traditional email password method, clicking on that register free, you create your Reckon account, complete your details, you'll be sent a verify email address email, and you just click on that and verify your email. When you log in there, you'll then see on the left-hand side, we've got all these available products. So the one we're looking for is Reckon GovConnect. So we go down and we click on that. The other way we can go to it is we can go to add product in the top right, and then go down to Reckon GovConnect in there, and we've got that access to it there. The first thing that it prompts us is that we need to set up multi-factor authentication. So this is just new ATO rules on security have dictated this. So we need to set that up. So just before I do look at that, let's have a chat about the security and why multi-factor authentication is there. So we want to make sure that each and every time that you're submitting the data, we want to make sure it's you. So this is why I say everyone needs their own portal account, because we can't share this around. We don't recommend the sharing because it's locked into a device. So that's why everyone needs it. You share the tiles, the STP entities. So the ATO have whole new rules on security. Like we've got to be Australian based, we've got to be a authorized software provider and that sort of thing. So we've ticked all those boxes, and having multi-factor authentication in there as well too. So it's a prompt that's built into the portal application. When you access the portal, the GovConnect application, it's going to pop up. And we have three ways that we can do the MFA code. So we can do the SMS code, and then we've got the Google Authenticator for the mobile phone or the Chrome browser add-on there. So the first one that comes up is the SMS code. So if you've got your mobile number entered in on the profile on your portal account, it's going to then pre-fill with that. If you're using a landline, it's going to ask you to put a mobile number in there. Click on send code, you'll receive that send code, type it into the box and click on verify, and you will then be accessing the portal, or GovConnect I should say. If you don't want to use the SMS code, so you've got to always have access to that phone, of course, we can use the Google Authenticator instead. And this is where we then choose which one we want. So if you want to use the phone app, the smartphone app, you can go to the App Store or the Play Store, download it, and then just scan that QR code in the middle of the screen. It'll then lock your email address into the authenticator on your phone and then pop in the code. And each time you go in, you'll need to pop that in and verify. The other option we have with this is we've got a Chrome browser add-on, so for the authenticator. So when you go to the Chrome's web store, type in authenticator as a search, click add to Chrome, and it will be there. Just a note, you can't have the authenticator on your phone and your computer at the same time, so it's one or the other. It'll then put this little QR code symbol up in the top right-hand corner of your Chrome browser on the toolbar next to where you type in all the URLs and stuff, and click on that, and then there's this little scan the QR code. So it's the same screen, just then drag that around the little QR code box, and then it will lock the email address into the authenticator, and the code will be shown. So therefore, next time you go in, click on the little QR code and the code will be there. Type that in and click on verify. So nice and easy from that point as well too. Incidentally, today's webinar is being recorded, so you can have a look at that on the YouTube channel later on if you need to go back and look at anything there. With each of these three methods, there's something highly important that gets created, and that is a recovery PIN. So in case you lose your phone, if you're using SMS or the Google Authenticator, if you lose your phone, we need to be able to go in and revoke that MFA code from that device so you can set up on a new one. So this is where this is important. So it automatically generates a code, or you can put in one that you're going to remember as well too. So entirely up to you as well. Just needs to be recorded somewhere securely so you do not ever forget that as well too. Mark that you've ever recorded it. As I say, we can't retrieve that. So just a recap on multi-factor authentication. It is at user level. So anyone who needs to access GovConnect needs to create their own GovConnect portal and set up their own MFA code rather than sharing that. You can't use the authenticator on the mobile phone and the computer at the same time, and do not delete the authenticator until MFA is revoked as well too. And of course, to record and store your recovery securely is the other big thing. So once I've gone through that whole MFA part, I can then add my STP entity. So I just click on the Get Started, and that will allow me then to put in my ABN. So, and that, when I click Verify, it's going to go and drag the legal name from the ABR and populate that field. The email is populated already from your email address on your portal account. You then choose which product that you're going to be using. So in this case, we're talking about Payroll Premier. So we then tick Payroll Premier and then save my settings. It goes straight into GovConnect there, and we see that the screen with Payroll Premier there, the name of our entity, and up in the top left, we've got a software ID with a little what's this. When I click on the what's this, it gives me the information that I need to register my software ID with the ATO before I can submit anything under Single Touch Payroll. The reason behind that is because you need to tell the ATO that Reckon is going to be submitting the data on your behalf. That can be done by calling them up, or if you still have your AUSKey, you can do it through the Access Manager or get your tax agent to do it for you, your BAS agent as well. You can't submit until there, so there's a tick box. I've registered that, and then if you need to come back to that later on, it just prompts you can't do this. Further to that as well too, in the top right hand corner, we've got an add product. So that's just if you say move from Payroll Premier to another product, you need to add that there because they all work a little bit differently. But importantly, next to that as well too, is we've got the company and advisor info. So this is where you'll see the address, ABN, phone number, emails, contact person, and again, the software ID for your STP. And if you work under a trust or something like that, you'll actually see a different name here to the corporate trustee. So just be aware of the little differences there. If you want your tax agent or BAS agents to be lodging on your behalf, they'll need to add themselves as an advisor in this area as well too. So if they're not going to be doing the lodgements, don't put them in there. So just do be aware of that. And if you need to return back to the main portal screen, down in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little door. Click on that. It takes you back to this screen here under GovConnect, and I've got my entity there. If I have more than one that I need to do, so I might have two entities that I need to do payroll for, I then go to add product and just add another one in there as well too. If I need to share this with my advisor, so I set this up under me as the end user, as the client, because it's my data, and I need to share this with my advisor because I want them to look at it, or I might want them to lodge it. I just go to the dots next to the name and click share with user, pop their email address in, and then click on save, and that then adds them into the system. If you need to ever get rid of them, just go back to the same area, click the little bin, and they're gone. Anything that has been shared will appear under the Shared with Me tab for the person who's been shared to. If you're the one that set it up, it's going to stay under the GovConnect subscriptions area. And as I just said a moment ago, if you need to set up any other STP entities in here, just go to Add Product and GovConnect. So what has happened in Payroll Premier from a point of view from Single Touch Payroll? So we've got an export file process. Because the GovConnect is cloud-based and Payroll Premier is desktop-based, we have to do an export file process. So this means we're supporting the desktop family of products, but also offering that STP solution that is required by the ATO. So we prepare all the lodgements directly in Payroll Premier, and then we can also review in GovConnect before submission as well too. So we've got full visibility of everything in there. So just a couple of things, we just need to make sure that it's correct through Payroll Premier. So first of all, the company name is a very close match to what's on the ABR, and of course the ABN is correct as well too. So just make sure of those, as well as just making sure your address is up to date too. Within the employees, we need to make sure that the employee names are correct. So for example, I've got Jennifer there, that she's not as Jenny. So whatever their actual legal name is, that needs to be in there. Employee numbers are mandatory as well. So just make sure they're in there as well too. Their addresses, dates of birth need to be correct, and along with a start date. So that needs to be reasonably accurate as well too. If you're using allowances, you just need to make sure that the allowance type, not the name, the type matches an ATO allowance type. So they've now got 6 types that they've defined: car, laundry, meals, other, transport, travel. And you just need to choose what that might be. So for example, take mileage, that's a name, mileage allowance that I've called it. And I need to just define whether that's a car or a travel one. So just need to make sure that they match the ATO specified type. So how do I process single touch payroll in Payroll Premier? So I process my pays as always done. So the pays are done as they have always been done. They're paid the same way they're always done. Super's still calculated, paid, everything, clearing houses and that you still always do, SuperStream, all of that sort of thing. Bassett's is still done the same. It's just reporting the information to the ATO for single touch payroll. So I go up to reports, I go down to single touch payroll, click on process STP report, and that will then show me all the employees for this pay event. They're called pay events, pay runs, same sort of thing. All the employees will be listed in there. At the top of the screen, you'll notice we've got an end of financial year, a full file replacement update event. I'll talk about those in a little bit as well, but just keep an eye in mind where we're actually seeing this. But when I'm happy with everything there, I haven't ticked anything else, I click on the export button. That will then save what we call a JSON file, JSON file. It'll generally go to the export folder on Payroll Premier, so just make a note of where it's being saved to, because you'll need to go and find that to import into GovConnect. So what are these event types that we were just talking about as well too? So there's different types of events. So there's pay events, which is your normal pay reporting. So at the end of each pay run, I need to go and report to the ATO all the pay figures. We've then got full file replacement, and that is error correction. So that's when the information that's been sent to the ATO is completely wrong. So therefore, I need to replace the latest pay event file that I've lodged when it was sent in error and significantly corrupt data. So just think about that as to what we're doing. So the update event as well too is just correct employee year-to-date figures, or there's been a change, tax file numbers, that sort of thing. So just minor sort of things in there. The full file replacement or update event are only ever used when you've got a successful submission to the ATO. If you've submitted it, come back with an error, it's not an update event or full file replacement, because the ATO have never received it. You just submit it through as you always done. Update event is also used for the end of year finalization, because you're saying these figures are final. And we'll talk about end of financial year in a moment as well too. And then the final pay event. So when an employee is terminated, they're automatically marked as a final pay event for them with your business, and it'll be notified to the ATO within that. So in Reckon GovConnect, how do I go through and complete all of this? So When I go back into GovConnect and I'm looking at this screen here, in the bottom right, I click on Upload. I then choose what type of report it is. So is it a new pay run or a full file replacement, or is it an update event? So just be aware, you need to make sure you pick the right ones up in that. Then you go and look for that file where you save that, and it will upload into the system, and the latest pay run will appear at the top of the list. You've got the ability to then submit from here. If you're happy with that, just click submit and off you go. If you realize there's some errors in that, before you submit it, you can delete, redo it, resend it, and re-upload. And there's also this little detail button. So when I click on the detail button, it actually drills down and shows me the individual employees that make up that pay run. And so then I'm seeing that full visibility of everything that's going through within there. I can submit from this screen, I can delete from this screen if I realize that it's wrong, but I've also got the detail button again, and that detail link will actually show me the individual employees details, so tax file numbers, date of birth, phone number, email, address, that sort of thing, if they're included on there. So how do I actually submit this? So when I'm back at, say, the previous screen, or the one that shows just the pay run and totals and that sort of thing, I just come in there, I click on submit. As a business owner, I need to then sign this declaration as a business owner as well too. And so confirm on that. If you've got your advisor lodging on your behalf, they will then see this declaration coming up as well too. When that has been submitted, we'll see success appearing, hopefully, and it'll pull down a receipt number. It might take a little bit for that to actually populate. Sometimes it might be pending for a little bit as well too. Some I've seen pending for a little while. If you want to get it out of the pending, just click on the detail button and it'll either show success or the error. If it does come back with an error, click on that little click here to view the ATO response messages. It'll go and fetch that message. Takes a few minutes to do within there. So just to recap on that STP process within here as well too. So you complete the pay run as you normally do. You export the STP file, open GovConnect, upload the file, submit to the ATO. So it is a, once you get used to it, it is a straightforward sort of process as well too. So as I've just been through that, what I just want to remind everyone of is, of course, this has been recorded. So therefore, if you want to look back at anything that we've gone through on that part, you can go back and view that and you can see that. If you've got a question that's burning now around that, I'll still answer these all at the end, but just go to slido.com and type your question, type the event code of RPP into there, nothing to register for, as I said, and then type your question in and I'll answer those at the end. So the end of the year finalisation process. So how do we do the end of year finalisation process within for GovConnect? So when I'm in Payroll Premier and I go to process my single touch payroll reports like I did for each of the normal pay events, when I click the end of financial year button, it'll show all the employees that are being paid in the year, even terminated ones. So I then pick which ones I want. It will be an update event because I'm saying to the ATO, the figures that I've told you are correct, released to the tax agent pre-fill system or to the MyGov system. And so it's updating those figures. Even if there's any changes, it's still updating what they've already got. And the best part about this, no payment summaries or MGP files are required anymore under single touch payroll. So when I'm in Payroll Premier, as I said, I just go to my reports, process single touch payroll. I click on the end of financial year. It changes the final event column in here as well too. Let me just. So this final event column here will now swap to yes, everyone will show. It's an update event, and then I just click the export and that I can import that in again to GovConnect. it'll remember where it gets saved to on your computer. And of course, in GovConnect, click on the upload, and I'm choosing an update event because I'm updating what's being submitted. Look for that file, click the upload button, and I'm good to go. You'll notice on that on the GovConnect screen where it's showing the pay events and the employees and so forth, update event now is marked as a yes. So then I can go through and I can submit. If it's wrong, I can again delete it if I wanted to and get rid of it that way, redo it. And I can go to drill down on the detail as well too. So same sort of process as the pay event, normal pay events. So we've got a number of frequently asked questions as well too that I'm going to run through now. So what is the time frame to submit STP reporting after the pay run? So you'll need to submit STP on or before the day the employee expects to receive their pay. So when you complete the pay run, this is ATO legislation. There's no if, buts, maybes, perhapses, or anything there. Part of this drives from the fact that in the ATO's mind, you're sitting there doing the pays, you might as well send the data to them. Part of it also is Fair Work Commission. The Fair Work Act says that employees have to get their pay slip on the day that they're paid as well too. So if you've got a process where you've got your bookkeeper coming in once a month and they do all the pays for the past month and your employees are paid weekly, unfortunately that process needs to change because this needs to be submitted on that time when it's all happening. They can do it in advance if they want as well and just fix up afterwards, but there needs to be a change on the way that's done. So if I go on holiday, how do I submit STP? So if you go on holidays, you'll need to share your GovConnect STP entity, and I showed you how to do that earlier on with another staff member, or if you're kind enough, talk to your tax agent or BAS agent if they'll do it for you. Or you do them in advance and make any changes when you come back. So just be aware of that, you'll have to do with that. Can I upload the STP file to the ATO business or tax agent portal? So with this one, no, you can't do that. So the ATO have said they do not provide a portal to submit STP. You know, how like this comes from the thinking that you can do that with the empty file, that sort of thing. They have stated that STP must be submitted by the payroll software, which we're doing here, so they don't have that. There is a section on the portals, on the business ATO portals for STP, but that's to review what's already, or to look at what's already been submitted, but you can't actually submit it through there. Another question that comes up a bit, can you have more than one person accessing a single GovConnect STP account? So you can have more than one person accessing it. The portal account can have more than one person as well too, so that can have unlimited, but you can't share. We don't recommend the sharing of the STP entity, the sharing your login so everyone can get into it, because of multi-factor authentication and being able to access the device required for the code. You just add it in there and then share it with anyone else who needs access to that GovConnect. So what if I make a mistake in an employee's pay after I've submitted STP? So once it's submitted successfully, you can correct it in the next pay run or do an update event and send that through to the ATO to fix that one up as well. So what if I need to change my multi-factor authentication device? So I want to go from SMS to Google Authenticator or vice versa. You'll need to revoke your current MFA access on the Reckon portal and re-establish with the new method. So how do I go about doing that? So when I'm just waiting on my screen to catch up for you. There we go. When I'm in the portal, up in the top right-hand corner next to the exit button, we've got a little person. Click on that, and that's your profile button. Scroll all the way down the bottom, and you'll see multi-factor authentication. And if you click on the little revoke button, that will then ask you to either put in your recovery PIN or your MFA code, if you've still got your device, to then add or revoke that. So click submit, and then you go back and set it up again. So that's why it is important. Don't delete or anything, and make sure you record that recovery PIN as well. Updating the company info. If I'm sitting in the in my GovConnect and I'm going, oh, my address is wrong, or phone number, or something like that, it's wrong. So this is all in Payroll Premier. So just go back into Payroll Premier, fix it all up there. Next time you export the file and import it in, it will update. So just be aware of that. Submission status is still pending. So this is one I was just talking about before. So if after a while the status is still pending, after a couple of days, click on detail and it will go and update. It will go and fetch that, whether it's successful or not from the ATO. So just do be aware. Just be aware of that. I'm now going to have a look at some common error messages and how to fix them. So the first one that comes up a little bit is unable to create subscription with STP. So that means the ABN is already registered with ReckonGov Connect. So just make sure someone else in your firm hasn't gone through and tried to set this up, or your accountant might have set it up, or your BAS agent on your behalf as well too. So just go through and double check that. Or the other thing too is your profile isn't complete on the Reckon portal. So just go into that profile area again, just make sure your name and phone number and that are all complete in there as well too. Invalid company information provided is the next one that does pop up sometimes as well too. So just make sure that under the company information in Payroll Premier, that the company name, address, phone number, ABN are all correct and up to date, and under preferences that whether there is or isn't a branch depending on your circumstances. So just make sure that's correct as well too. So they're one of those sort of errors in there as well. Now, this will appear, next one here is when you're trying to get into MFA, so please type the correct code. So it's a sync error with the Authenticator app and Google. So you just need to go through and fix that. If that does come up, of course, you can come back and look at this. We'll get it up onto the help site as well too. And of course, the tech support guys know how to help you with that one as well too. So don't stress too much. It's an easy sort of fix in there. Seeing this next one a little bit, instance payroll event, payroll detail requires property total gross instance, so forth, typical ATO speak in there. So what's happening there is I'm submitting an update pay event file, so a file that I've marked as an update event. I'm saying a new pay event or full file replacement. So I'm not changing the type when I'm uploading it into GovConnect. So just make sure that we're picking up the right one in there. So you'd need to go back to Payroll Premier and re-export. You won't need to go back to Payroll Premier. Just when you go upload, just make sure you choose update event and you'll be good to go. Failed to save the pay run event data. So when you've tried to upload it and it's just coming back with this, just means you've got a corrupt JSON export file. Invalid characters could be in there, so double quotation marks and that sort of thing. Just make sure that there are invalid characters in anything, addresses, phone numbers, employee names, all those sort of things as well. Another one here is the ATO error message for getting a pull request. So that's when I click on, and there's a whole range of different errors as well too. This is just one that we pick out. When I've clicked on click here and it's gone and fetch that error, it's just telling me that the request is valid, but they just got extended processing times. Check back later and the status should be updated. So some errors are, you've got to go and resubmit the whole thing. This is one that it should update itself for you. So just a little recap here as well too. So getting ready for STP. So what do we need to do to get ready for STP? So perform that data audit. So on your company file, make sure that your company information is correct. Employee names are correct, no nicknames, shorter names, that sort of thing. Start dates for the employee are reasonably accurate as well too. And the employee numbers are now required. So just make sure they're on everything as well. And then finally on this one is the TFNs are correctly set for the employees as well. So they've got the right TFN on them. let employees know what is happening as well too. So just keep them in the loop of everything as well too. So it is important that they know everything as well. And of course, upgrade to the latest version for all the benefits in that. So if you're still on 18.19, jump onto the 2019-2020 release because there's some good updates in there as well. On the Reckon website, look for Single Touch Payroll, there is a comprehensive guide on Single Touch Payroll, and a checklist is a great thing, including an employee fact sheet as well too. So just jump on and have a look for those things on the Reckon website. Single Touch Payroll help, of course, the tech support guys are there to help you out as well too, but you can self-serve from help.reckon.com, and you can look for a Single Touch Payroll in there, or on the Reckon knowledge base, kb.reckon.com, search for STP, and anything will appear up there as well too. There's also the Reckon community if you want to ask any questions on that as well too, so just do be aware of that one as well. So what I'm going to do is we're now going to have a look at some questions. So as I said, we're using a tool called slido.com. The event code is RPP. So when you go to slido.com, there's nothing to register for, nothing to log into, no cost, nothing like that. Just look for the box that says looks for the event code, type in RPP, click join, type your question in, and I'll go through and answer all of those as well too for you. Okay, so that's just up on the screen there as well too. So like I said, I'll just wait for any questions to come through. Like I said, this webinar has been recorded, so I'll get it up onto the Reckon YouTube channel as well. So if you're on YouTube, just search for Reckon HQ and the latest one will appear in there. So that's there available for you as well too. So if you want to go back and look at anything from today's webinar as well. So I'll just give you a moment people a moment to go through and put in some questions. I'll hang around on the line as well too, so we'll just go through on that one. A couple of questions I know just while I'm waiting on if anyone's got any questions on that. Do I need an AusKey to use Reckon Gov Connect? No, you don't. So and AusKey's being phased out as well too. So because you're lodging through Reckon, you've got to register software ID with the ATO to say that Reckon's going to be lodging the data. Remember, employee numbers are mandatory as well too. And when an employee is terminated, we're going to be marked as a final pay event from in there as well too. So not a separate submission for those guys. Difference between that update event and full file replacement. So an update is to correct year-to-date figures or a tax file number or data for an employee, or full file replacement is you've significantly wrong data and that sort of thing, or sent something in error. If you need to change your MFA device, just make sure you revoke first, and also make sure you record that recovery PIN as well too. Now we're well into July as well too, so we've got get started. Once you start lodging through STP, you're in there and you've got to continue lodging. So just be aware of that within there. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions coming through at the moment. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to give it another moment, and then I will end the webinar for everyone as well too. So if you do have any questions, pop them in. But if anything comes up later on, you can get in touch with us. If you have any questions around this webinar, you can email us at training@reckon.com. If you do, and it's just popping up on the screen for you there. So questions in the webinar, clarification, or I can't find the video on the YouTube or something like that, training@reckon.com. If you do have questions of a technical support nature, get in touch with those guys and they'll be able to help you out on that side. So what I'll do there is it doesn't look like I've got any questions through. So what I'll do is I'll finish up the webinar now. I want to thank everyone for attending. To have a great day. I know it's all a bit busy at the moment with everything, but thank you very much everyone for your time, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.